Hey you guys, it's Lula. Woo! What a year it's been. I don't know if I'm going to do another reading before the end of the year. I may not. These are always timeless, but today is December 29th, 2020. I'm in the Pacific Northwest in the Northern Hemisphere, and it is a full moon. It is the full moon in Cancer, and I have been getting so many downloads. If you watched the musical reading for this, then you are probably kind of excited because you may have been going through it already in your mind or just kind of wondering. I realize that for some of you that watch this channel, you are learning who you are. You are figuring out who you are and what your gifts are and what you do and what you're meant to do here. And so I feel like it's probably good for you to have things where I pull cards and you get to see, like you're listening to music, but you get to just see it the way you see it, right? Because each of us are a different messenger. We all receive differently and we all put out differently. So what we give and what we take are very personal to all of us. So I'm going to definitely go through these cards, but Spirit wanted me to, say that and say, good for you. This is how you're learning. I know some of you keep reaching out and reaching out. It's just not time for us to talk yet. In fact, a lot of times by you reaching out, texting me, emailing me, messaging below, whatever it is that you do, that is when you become your own teacher, right? Like you're putting things out to me and then it's giving you time to think about it, and all of a sudden you're getting signs and other things are popping up, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, there it is, there's my answer. I am just here to guide you, right? I am just here to be a guide. I'm also here to help people who are just coming into their awakening and they're not really sure what's going on. I'm here to hold space for them and help navigate them through that. I just realized my hat, a little while ago I smashed my head. But it was good. Not my head, my hat. And I was like, oh! And it kind of went down on my face. And just now it was itching my head. It's wool. And I can handle these kind of hats as long as they're more resting. When it's really tight on my head, I'm like, the wool, I'm like, no. And I've tried putting cloth or things underneath it. But anyway, I digress. But you see where I'm going with that? I am exhausted, but also excited, and there's just so many things that are going on in this full moon, as usual. I don't like to say as usual, but it just tends to be that around these full moon energies, as an empath, I really feel certain things. I go through a lot of different things, and I believe most of it, as of right now, I believe that the things that, most of it meaning the things that I'm going through at the time, are what I'm meant to channel, filter, and it's been coming in so rapidly, and I know a lot of you are feeling that too, right? Things are not the way they were, and I've just been watching a lot of things, reading a lot of things, and I'm trying to process as best I can certain things that people are putting out into the universe right now. It's interesting. I was completely concerned about this. I should say I was aware of this, that watching how all this is coming down, even the most spiritual people can run from their ego. When we put things out into the world saying that we know everything or that we know better or whatever, that's when it starts to get tricky. And I realized, I'm like, I joined the Soul Matrix Social, and I really like it. And I know I'm meant to be there because I've been pulled to be there a lot lately. And I've been posting a lot of things, kind of like I used to do on Instagram. And it's the same thing with Instagram. I'm not following anybody, but I'll go on there and there'll be something there. And it's been awesome to have triggers, and it's been awesome to it's just been an amazing experience. But at the same time, I'm like, social media is fucking social media. It is what it is. And you are gonna have people who come on there who think that they are they have ascended to whatever, and they are the messengers and whatever, and I'm like, keep talking. I'm like, that's cool. But I think when we start having airs about us, or we're starting to say, things that sound like they're coming from a high place, but they're really underlining and kind of a low vibration. I don't know, for me personally, I feel like what's been making me the happiest is just being real and just going with the flow of things. I'm just laughing, crying, trying to work through all these different emotions from not just from the full moon, but this whole bloody year, right? Like, it's been something. It's been something. It's been something. It's been something. But at the same time, I've loved it. I've loved it, and it's been the wildest ride. And I feel like it is. It's been that roller coaster where you're like, oh. And the other day, my beloved, I was saying, we were watching this scene where this person with autism was on a roller coaster, and I'm like, I think he's gonna have a good time. And he's like, you do? I'm like, yes. I go, because I'm like, just watch it. And we watched it, and it was exactly kind of how I felt like I would, like, just from the people that I know that have children with autism, because they're very cerebral and just energy. They're just really high energy, high frequency beings. So, working with children with autism has been a really great gift to me. And being surrounded by people who are would be considered the dregs of society, the pirates, the witches, the mermaids, the vampires. I love them all. It's like I feel so blessed to know so many people and have encountered and met so many people throughout this journey up until this moment. And blessed now for all of us to be able to meet people from all over the world, to be able to travel to other countries without getting on a plane or traveling by vehicle. We can look at imagery and travel in our minds. I'm so excited about what's coming that it's like, I know shit's gonna, happen or whatever. By the way, I didn't realize till just now that I kind of look like a howdy partner. The way my hat and I'm like so cold. The way everything is, I just realized I've got my, my cowboy shaman girl. Today Spirit called me the White Diamond Warrior Heart. And meditation, yes, they just said, you're the White Diamond Warrior Heart. Yes. So with all that being said, it's just like, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a ride, but I wouldn't change a thing. And, death has been something that it's been comprehensive in a lot of ways for me, in terms of watching the many stages of it, the incarnations of it, people that I've loved in this lifetime, seeing my past lives, watching people die, just everything. I just feel like we are the phoenix, right? Like, I do feel like we rose above, and now we're looking at it so differently. We're not above anybody, but I'm saying, like, what I feel like is, I read something that said 3D, like all these different emotions in the 3D, all these different emotions in the 4D, all these emotions in the 5D, and just watching. It's been interesting. Spirit has sent me on all of these hunts, all of these different hunts to find different information, and it has really brought me to this moment. And so I want to say a shout out to the ancestors and Spirit and all of my spirit guides, your spirit guides, and all of our people that are here. Thank you for being part of this tribe. Thank you for being here. 8 minutes, it was 8:42, and they had me look at it, which is also the number 14, which is also the number 5. And we are in the transformational period. Things are really exciting. Spirit told me to just go. They said we're gonna go all around, because there's a lot of themes, and if you noticed, I know what it's going to be, but I'll go through my phone because there's a lot of information that I have to show. Oh, they said to show you now. Okay, so the theme is I'll be seeing you. And the interesting thing was how, by the way, I love how when I came on, it was like Game of Thrones. And Spirit was like, game on. Or no, I heard game on. And then I was like, ooh, like in my head, like I talked to them really quickly. And they're like, no, like Wayne and Garth. Game on! Watch the original Wayne's World movie. Please do yourself a favor and watch the Wayne's World movie, especially if you smoke cannabis or you like to have a little, organic or locally grown go juice. But it's so funny. I mean, you can watch it totally sober, of course, but I enjoyed it much better when I was high. And there's just really this great moment where they're like, they're trying to play a game in the street, and they're like, oh, a car's coming. They're like, oh, and so they pull everything off, and then they're like, okay, it's clear. They're like, game on, game on, and they're like, and they pull everything back. And it's just really, really great. And there's a great scene in there with a bike. I don't want to say it and give it away, but hilarious. So, right? So Spirit is saying, game on. Like, it's okay. We're not concerned about this. Game on. We're Game of Thrones. We got this. And they want it to look like, okay, I know in Game of Thrones that was the bad guy, but they want you to like see that sometimes the bad guys are good guys. And we are going to see people who look like the bad guy, who sound like the bad guy, who are actually not. And it's like looking for that kind of like blue, like that lit blue, like that Arcturian blue of like, that's your friend, right? Because blue is about calming. And they're saying like, you'll know the false gods. You'll know the false people in your life. They said, you'll know. Now, it's interesting because, so that was that, and that was like really interesting. But this was our theme. I'll be seeing you from Billie Holiday. Now, I have this on rotation and all different things on my phone. I may have seen this before, but I do not remember. But it's I'll be seeing you number 3. Number 3. And Spirit literally had me look at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So they were saying like, I'll be seeing you 3D. And they had me bring up the lyrics, and it says, I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut trees, the wishing well, and I'll be seeing you, and every lovely summer's day, and everything that's light and gay, I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, and I'll be seeing you. And I love that this is like the full moon. Oh, I'm like, hello, children. But I love that this is on the full moon. And I don't know when this is going to post because I don't know how long this is going to be. And it takes a while. I live out in the sticks and I have to do it through my phone and all that. But I just really urge you, no matter when you see this, they're timeless, but really like lean in deeply, fill your heart with that really beautiful Cancer energy. Okay, so Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are our water signs. And in each sign, there's always one that kind of like holds a little more towards the actual sign. And for me personally, I've always felt with the water signs that the Cancer are our most tender, our most sensitive. And I'll tell you why. Because in my experience with the Cancers that I've met, or people who have a heavy Cancer in their chart, they are the ones that are like, it's okay, everything's gonna be good, we're gonna be great, everything's gonna be great, or it's cool, or they're like, that's okay, I don't worry about it. But they're the ones that when it gets bad, they retreat into their shell. They could be on the beach, right? They're like, woo, having fun on the beach, and they're like, yeah, loving this sun. Oh yeah, water, come on me, yeah, I love the sun, everything's great, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like the weather comes in, there's a storm, the crowd like, oh shit, and they kind of go inside their shell. Well, I feel like that's what this is, and I think it's powerful. It's a metaphor, I feel like, for so many things right now. On the full moon, here we are, the 29th and 2020. Again, timeless, but where we are right now in this motion, in this energy. So you can flow with us. No matter what time it is, you'll flow with this energy with us. But we're coming off of all these wonderful things, and the 12/12 portal, and solstice, and the age of Aquarius rushing in, and we're in this huge transition. Well, Aquarius is also, or wait, is Aquarius air? No? Yes. Oh, I said that earlier. Oh, that's interesting. It is air. Oh, I said that earlier. I misspoke. That's so weird. I'm having a conversation with Spirit. They're like, yeah, blah, blah. Oh, they were trying to tell me something, but I didn't understand. Oh, because, that's what you were saying. Okay, yes. Aquarius is air, but they're the water bringers. Right. That's what I meant to say. Okay. Or that's what you were trying to show me. Got it. Right? So here we are. And so we've got this emotional. So water signs. Water is a symbol of emotion. So we've got this really like heavy Cancer energy, especially now because it's the last full moon of 2020. And even though we're in this like calendar year, this Gregorian calendar year, it's like it's still, it's like when you think of, some of us believe that, Samhain's, November, October 31st to November 1st, like that is actually like New Year's Eve. Because that's the new year for us, because that's when, we go kind of dormant, we go inwards, and then spring, and then summer, everything's growing, everything's great, and then we harvest, and then like we start again, right? So to some people, like from Samhain, it's like been all these things, but also, we had the 11:11 transmission, we had the 12:12 portal. I mean, there's been so much that it literally would, I'd have to get my thing and look at it and be like, oh yeah, and then that happened. Oh yeah, and then that happened, right? So here we are ending in like one of the emotional signs, the most emotional sign in the zodiac, on the last full moon, as we begin winter, as we're about to go inward, right? It's like, so Cancer's like telling us like to go in our shell and like be calm and be still, right? Because the water is going to rush in whether we like it or not. But the good news is we're in Capricorn, which is an earth energy, so it's really grounding. So now we've learned, right? We've taken all of these lessons we've learned in this whole last year, and we've gone with the flow. We've been ripped to shreds. We've had everything on every level you can possibly imagine. We can put everything out there. We've all run the gamut, right? Everybody on this planet has felt something. But you know what that did? That gave us compassion. That gave us compassion for our fellow person, our fellow being, animals, humans, it doesn't matter, plants. I mean, I feel like my plants like have been thriving more because I've just been paying more attention to them and really communicating with them instead of just like flying off here or flying off there. And a lot of times I would be traveling, and in the last few years I had traveled, a month this time, a month that time, 6 weeks that time, and that was all in like 2 years. And each time I come back and either my plants were dead or Ed really tried, but he just couldn't keep them going, right? And that was like sad for me because I was just like, dude, I'm like, you keep killing my fucking plants. I'm like, wait, because it's the one time I'm like, I'll take them with me. When I was going for 6 weeks, I'm like, I'll take them with me. He's like, no, it'll give me something, I'll keep them going. And so when I came back, I was like, oh, dude, and like killed like Rosie, my rosemary. Now, mind you, I know it was all meant to be and it all happened and blah, blah, blah. But attachment. Thank you, Spirit. But all of these things that made me realize, even this last year, how much it's made me really stay focused and connected to who I am, what I'm doing here, what my mission is, and no more bullshit. But also to like look at it and say, I'll be like, of course we still live here. The 5D, all these dimensional things, it's in our consciousness, it's in our mind. It's like the world, yes, the energy has shifted, we can all feel it, because that's a whole astrological thing I can get into with, even scientists are like, well, yeah, like there's for the next few, 100 years and for this and thousands of years for that, all these different energies, that harmony is going to be like on the planet. It's just because of the way we're out of like certain debris in the solar system. You know what I mean? Like it all goes together. We're just one planet in a huge vast thing, and we're just one beautiful tiny little speck of sand in one large consciousness. And when you start to like really see it, you go, you are me and I am you. You're suffering the way that is, what is happening to you, and I am suffering the way that's happening to me. But you're working through your stuff and I'm working through my stuff, and here we are coming back together talking about it, right? We're connecting. So there's something really powerful about this transformational energy that's on the planet right now. So I was sad not to be with my sweetheart. He is in the mountains right now, probably in front of a fire, having the best time. But I needed to be here in quiet and solitude. Even Bubba, she's over there all nestled up in her, she's all, she's wrapped up, her tail's around her. She's in the blankets, it's cold. It's like, I don't know, maybe 40, 30, I don't know. So take that time to go inward. We're going to talk more about the cards, but, you can, I'll be seeing you, when they're saying that, is like, because we are going to be seeing it. We still see the 3D. It's still right in front of us. We didn't just like evaporate or go into our own little bubbles, right? But some people, you'll see that some people are breaking off more into communities. And it's interesting. It's like in one way we're all coming together, but in other ways we're completely segregating, because we're realizing that, okay, you can have, it's all vibrational and it's all energy, right? So it doesn't matter your sex, your gender, your color, your, financial status, your background, where you come from, your languaging. it doesn't matter. All of a sudden it's like, cool, you vibe with my energy. I'm, doing this, and that. And they're like, cool, me too. And then you vibe with their energy, and we're all shifting, and we're all changing, and we're all like opening up to different communities, and everything is shifting and changing. So Spirit is saying, you know what? Look at your past is saying like, I'll be seeing you, man. When I go home, like for me, like I look at it like I live in the Northwest, right? But I'm from Chicago. I'm sure when I go home again, I'm going to see it again with fresh eyes, even though I was just there a lot over the last few years. And even though I spent a lot of time there both times, it's like I'm still going to look at everything differently. I'm still going to see it differently. But I do not want to participate in the same things. I don't want to hear certain things or whatever. And it's not that they're triggers. It doesn't, actually, I'm at the point now where things don't bother me at all. And that's the whole point. It doesn't bother me at all. So I'm like, I don't feel the need to like go to the same place with somebody where they are stuck in their loop. And that's what the 3D is. That's why it was programming and why it was like the same. And if it was good enough for my grandfather and good enough for my father and good enough for me, it should be good enough for you. It's like, not necessarily. Some people may stay a masonry their whole lives because that's what their grandpappy did and whatever. And that's beautiful if that feels natural to you and that is in your soul contract and your ancestral DNA, all of it, right? But there are some of us that it is our job to like break away from, certain things, like us weirdos and unicorns. Like we're waking up and seeing that we are like weirdly awesome, right? People are like, you're awesome, I love you. Or we're seeing each other, like I've had a few, thank you for reaching out. And thank you to all the new subscribers. I love you so much. Thank you so much. And to the ones that have been here since the beginning or who've carried on or who've come and go, I love you either way. But thank you, thank you, thank you. I honor you. Thank you. With grace and gratitude. Thank you. So when you see it all like that and you see each other, it's like, hey, I recognize a little bit of me in you. I recognize a little bit of me in you. That's what it really boils down to. So this year, yeah, it was hard on all of us. Yeah, it was tough, but boy, it was a gift. It was the greatest gift. And I love that, certain people are like, I really took the time to blah, blah, blah. Or, I read this thing with Matthew McConaughey that talked about like his mother's, like, I think she's 88 or something, she's getting up there. She's elderly. And, he said, this has been such a magical time for us and my wife and my children and my mother for us to spend this time together. It was such a beautiful little story. And I thought, that is so wonderful, and I noticed some people, they'd be like, oh, well, he's rich, it's easy to do. But you'd be surprised. I've reached out to a lot of my friends who were struggling or were having a really rough time making it, and I have been so pleasantly surprised to find out that they have, just said, you know what, I'm not going to do this or that anymore. So they like moved in with their parents or their family members. They've moved in with friends, or they've completely like changed their life, and they're like, I'm so poor, but I'm super happy. And I'm like, that's what I used to say. I'm like, and I used to tell my stories of like when I had money and all the beautiful places I've lived and all the places I've traveled and stuff. And I remember my mantra for a while was like, this is the poorest I've ever been and the happiest I've ever been, right? Because the more we attach ourselves to things, to truly, the less happy we are, because we're energetically giving so much to it. It's interesting. I've seen some things that were for rent. We're still looking, obviously, right? And we'll always be looking. No, we won't always be looking, but I meant to say like when it comes, we'll know. So every so often I'll hear Spirit say, and then, go look at this or go look at that. And then I get my hooks in it thinking, oh, I'm supposed to do that, right? And then I'll kind of get this, I'll see it, and then Ed and I will start talking about it, and then we'll be like, no, they'll be like, oh, but I'm glad we saw that because now we know we want X, Y, and Z. So it's all these little breadcrumbs that Spirit's been putting out, I've been trying to change my languaging. I'm really going to focus on that in 2021. But yeah, just like, I said, I'm like, I don't want anything grand. I don't want to go out and buy all brand new things or fill a home again. I don't want to just fill it with random shit. I'm like, I want to only have exactly what we need. If anything, I'm like, everything we have right now is squished into one little space. But I said, when we have a house and we spread it out, it won't feel that way. It'll still be these beautiful, lovely things that we have, but it'll be minimal, right? So, attachment is a really, really big thing, and I encourage you to work on that. When I get done with this, actually, what I'm going to do, I was like, I'm kind of excited because I know, I should say, I'm feeling like he won't be back till a certain amount of time. So I'm like, cool, I have time. And I'm uploading something else right now too. I ended up doing this like song and a story. It's really heavy and really dramatic, and if you want to watch it, I'm almost even going to put a warning on it, but it's beautiful at the same time too, and it talks about like working through, that unknown darkness that we've been talking about, and working through and being proud of who we've become. But anyway, I'm going to go through my clothes, and I'm going to go through some more things, and I'm going to purge, right? So you may want to purge this full moon too, just go through your stuff, and using a pendulum helps a lot, and sticking to the same questions too, so you can make it easy, where you have certain piles or whatever, and then you go through and you say, is all of this donation, and then they'll say no, and then you'll figure it out. It's also a good way to kind of connect with your intuition and your pendulum. I've had 4 pendulums. I have 4 pendulums now, and how they disappear in this tiny space is anyone's guess, but that's why I know the fairies are doing it. But then they reappear exactly when I get to the point where I'm like, okay, because it's like a mental exercise, right? We have to work out. It's like our brain, our intuition's like a muscle. We have to keep working on it, keep working on it, keep working on it. And so I feel like when the fairies come and take my pendulums, that's them saying like, you still got to keep pushing through it. And I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. And they're like, not yet. You got to do it. But then then the one will just appear, and it's crazy too, because it'll go, was that there? And I'm like, no. So it's like one will just appear. So anyway, the fairies, they're so amazing. So yeah, a lot of information, right? So we can look at the 3D and we can love it, but we don't have to live in it. In fact, recently when Edward or myself will start to go into a memory, I will kind of sit there for a second and be like, do we need to go there? Is it a trigger? What are we working with? The sooner we can kind of recognize that, I believe the sooner we will work through it. And I have been feeling really strong about that in terms of, Spirit said to drink some water. So drink some water. Look at the inside. Isn't that cute? Look at that. Spirit says, show them the butterfly. Right? Transformation. I'm just downloading. And by the way, these mugs each have different things on them. Similar, they look almost exactly the same, but like one will have a bird and no butterfly, or you know what I mean? They're kind of cool. Anyway, they're telling me, hold on. Yeah, so when you're looking at the 3D, we can admire it, but we don't have to relive the memory. And that's what I was starting to say, is that I'm catching people when they're reliving a memory. I kind of go in there with them, especially if I'm reading for people. I go in the memory with them, and then Spirit lets me look at it as the observer and kind of like pick out the pieces maybe that they're not seeing, and they'll glow to me like their blind spot. So do the same for yourself. Like, what's in your blind spot? What's like preventing you from, really getting through that trigger and getting on to the other side of it? Lately, I've been having moments where I'm not, this isn't gratuitous and throwing flowers at myself. This is a genuine, like, with grace and gratitude. I am so proud of myself for I'll have these moments, and then I'll go, oh wow, and then some of it's been with Ed, and he'll be like, what? And I'm like, that used to trigger me hard, and I'm like, I'm not triggered anymore. Like, I'm totally okay with it. Like, I know, I understand now. I'm like, that's okay. And that's where we want to be. Not like, I'm totally over it. Oh, I'm totally over it. No, to the place where we're comfortable with it, where it doesn't affect us. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt any less or whatever, but we don't have to relive that. It's like, how many times do we relive a moment, a memory, a situation, a conversation, right? We don't have to continue to relive things over and over and over and over. The full moon shines on us, right? She shows us. She shows us. She illuminates it. She illuminates it for us. Luna illuminates it for us and shows us what's real, what's happening, what that situation, why we were there to learn what we were there to learn. That's what it's for. The whole cycle of the moons are for that, right? Even when we get to the dark moon, right? The new moon, it's like that's when we go inward. We go through the cycles, because every 30 days we're changing. And we're changing every 30 seconds, really. Like we're always ever changing. And if we remember that this is where we're meant to be, in this ever-changing state of grace and gratitude, it just starts to flow. And that's that's just how I'm understanding it now. And so spirit is, I'm not even going to read books today. I'm just going to go through what they say. So I am the spirit keeper of the West. Right? I'm just here to illuminate you back to you. And if you are so inclined, I want you to research this spirit keeper of the West. You can research this meaning in the book, or there are a lot of things that talk about the West, looking to the West, and just a lot of things like that. Okay, so that analogy can be anything you want to take from it. It could be the sun setting. It could be, honestly, it could be anything you want it to be. And I feel like that's what it is, and that's what this reading is here to show us. And if you saw the musical reading, you may have had, different moments or whatever. Oh, look at this. I accept all of myself. The work I do on myself is not a goal. It is a process, a lifetime process. I choose to enjoy the process. I accept all of myself. Accepting all of ourselves means that we don't have to, we can have all of it, right? Like, we don't have to just be one thing, this or that, or, another thing. It's interesting, my whole life I've been surrounded by celebrities, and I never understood it until now. But it's so interesting to watch, like, how some of them, or people are like, oh my gosh, you look so different. Are you sick? Are you okay? And they're like, this is just who I am, or this is how I like to look, or this is how I normally am. What you see at talk shows, or what you see in the movies, or on this TV show or whatever, they're like, that's not who I am. I'm just a person, like, playing that part. Like, this is who I am. And some people, it's like they're in that all the time. I saw something recently with Dolly Parton, and she was having a conversation with RuPaul, and she said, because he's like, do you keep the wigs at home, or is there ever a time? She's like, no. She's like, this is like part of who I am. And I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw a snippet of the conversation, and long story short, she was trying to convey to Ru, like, that may be drag for you, but, like, this is, like, me. Like, that's, like, who I am. And I remember years ago, I knew this beautiful, beautiful soul named Amanda. She was one of my really good friends' best friend. And it's interesting, like just watching, like, all of us kind of, like, grow up together and, like, who we were. But I've never met anybody before her who was like the fake eyelashes, the hair, the makeup, like, everything. Like, she never left the house without looking like that. Like, she wouldn't even go to the store to grab anything. Like, that was the way she looked. And I was blown away by that. And I just thought, man, that's a lot of fucking work. It just seems like a lot of work, But that's who they were. And so when Dolly said that, I thought about Amanda, and I thought about, how that's how people are. Like, it's none of our business what they look like, or what they want to look like, or what they want to do, right? So it's like, that may be who they are. Maybe that is accepting all of who they are. Who are we to tell somebody, like, who they are? So by accepting, like, all versions of ourselves, and I don't know who that analogy was for, but by accepting all versions of ourselves, we have freedom. We have pure freedom. It's like, we don't have to be just like RuPaul. RuPaul can dress like, I can't think of RuPaul's, like, birth name, which is really weird because I've not known them, but, like, been following their career forever. I actually met them when they were RuPaul in 1995 when they opened the Mac store in West Hollywood. Oh my gosh, like, I pray someday that I meet RuPaul, because I'm gonna be like, I know you would never remember me. I mean, come on, they've met like gazillions of people by this point, but I just remember, like, she was the most beautiful glamazon I didn't even think drag queens could look like that. Like, I'd never even, in fact, when somebody told me that it was a boy, and that's what they said, that it was one of my gay friends, was like, oh girl, that's a boy. And I was like, no. They're like, yeah. I'm like, what? But they were so tall, and they were wearing, like, these, like, I think 6-inch heels, and they're already, I think, flat foot, like, over 6 feet. So, and I'm 5'2", and so they were, like, towering over me, and they were so beautiful and glamorous, and this blonde, like, hair, and she looked like Wonder Woman. Honestly, like, she looked like Wonder Woman to me. And I was just, like, in awe of her. And and she was the face of Mac before she was like really RuPaul. She was, you know, RuPaul. And she was the face of Mac. But anyway, it was a great time. But she was just like, "You're so little," and but I just remember thinking, like, the first time I saw them without all that, I was like, "Holy shit," you know. And so it's like, who are we to like tell somebody like who they should be or how they should be or what they should look like at any given time, you know? And I think it's going to be really freeing for a lot of us, but especially like celebrities and people who, you know, look a certain way all the time, or they're trying to like fit into a certain mold or whatever. They're like, I don't want to look like this anymore. I mean, I don't follow certain things, but I look at headlines sometimes, and then like Spirit will kind of show me the story. But even Kelly Ripa like got some shit about that, about people saying that she looked horrible or like do her roots. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? I was like, what? But that's when I realized, right? Like, and that was a trigger for me. And I was starting to like see things so clearly, and I was seeing everything, and I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, this is probably the most beautiful ending and like beginning of a story I've ever seen in any story ever told, right? Because there's millions of stories like locked into just this one story. I mean, well, billions when you think about people in general. So it's like when you start to see it like that, it's like everything comes together, and you're like, what? And the work I do on myself is not a goal, it's a process. It's a lifetime process. I choose to enjoy the process. So yes, just enjoy the ride, man. Just like go with it and have fun. Don't question anymore. Don't question anymore. Don't question anymore. And I got you. And there's a lot of us here, the Spirit Keepers of the West. Like, I got you. You are not alone. We are in this together. Number 26, and it's the 9 of clubs, and it says the park foretells a new love when very near, if distant, false friends. Well, this is interesting to me because in the song "I'll Be Seeing You," she talks about like, I'll be seeing you in that park, right? I'll be seeing you, and they talk about a park. So it says, I think we need to talk about both. That's really interesting, right? Because that is close and that is distant, right? Because when you're in the park, you know, unless you're sitting on the seat, you're walking past it, right? You're like walking past somebody on the bench. And Spirit, I'm kind of getting this vibe from Spirit. It's like we are floating in the 5D. Like I'm seeing this in as if we were in like Central Park right now. Like I'm kind of seeing all of us. And they're showing us, and people are like sitting on the benches, and the people sitting on the benches are the people who are refusing to move, right? They're just like, I'm just going to stay here. Like, I'm going to stay here. This feels good to me. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish up my life here. Well, that's okay, because you know what? It's going to take a few decades for us to like really like come into this like harmonious place of like joy and uplifting energy. And the truth is, certain energies can't survive when there's so much high vibrational energies. The darkness can't survive. It just can't survive. But we do need the dark, some of the dark to survive, but we don't need the dark, seedy, like insidious, like awful, ripping our guts out, tearing us down to the floor. We can't see the light anymore. That dark is like gone, you know, and it's trying to claw to stay on. So I like this analogy because that's when it's saying, if distance, it's false friends. And that's what we're going to find is some of our friends and some of our family are going to want to stay in their materialism, their religion, their politics, their, you know, and as we all know, a lot of that stems from pain and suffering. When people join a group of other people who are spewing hate or awful things, that is, they are not healed on the inside. They are very broken on the inside. You know, we don't put darkness into the world unless we're feeling it ourselves. So if you look at it like the 9 of clubs is like the 9 of wands, right? So we've been working really, really hard. We've been working really, really, really hard to like stay in this high vibration to get us there, right? Like we witches, we've been pulling all-nighters. Some of us, right? Look at that witch. She's got an owl on her shoulder and a wolf on the other side of her. And also, just so you know, what I've been channeling in is we're going to be talking about this a lot over the next few weeks. But what I got from Spirit is that now we are making way for the divine feminine, and that spirit animal that wants to work with us is the wolf. So we're going to be working with the divine feminine through the divine feminine energy of the wolf. And then we're going to be holding space for the divine masculine. That is, that's that patriarchal energy that's been like torn down now. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. They held on as long as they could. They all did. You're going to see a lot of things. A lot of stories are going to come out. There's just going to be so much is going to unfold over the next 2 decades. It's unbelievable. I don't even want to put too much out there as like predictions, because so much is going to change, and is going to change so rapidly that I almost feel like if someone's like, a year from now it's going to be exactly like this, I'm like, maybe, Nostradamus, you're okay, you're totally. Or I think for myself anyway, I'm going to be a little more humble in that and say, at least with what I feel and know, is that I cannot say exactly how things are going to be in a year from now. I can only tell you what Spirit is showing me. But a lot of light workers, witches, healers, whatever terminology you want to put, they have been, look at that, even with their little kitty, right? We got cat, dog, owl, but the divine masculine is the bear. So we need to work with the bear energy for the divine masculine and the wolf for the divine feminine. And we'll talk more about it, but feel free to research on your own about that as well. So hang in there, because it says the park foretells new love when very near. And that's what I'm talking about. The new love, it's the new love for ourselves. It's the new love. It's all about the process, about loving ourselves, but also in turn, it's bringing a whole new energetic love energy to the planet that, as far as I know, hasn't been here since the beginning, and maybe even never even like this interesting and powerful. So water and cleansing, right? What were we talking about? We're in the full moon in Cancer. Take more baths, take more showers, envision things coming off of you, and going down the drain back into the earth, back into the ether with love, to be reborn in a loving energy. But cleansing our minds and our bodies and our souls, like using this water energy. Crying is one of the best cleansers you can possibly do. And if you want to have a really good cry, there you go. Watch the video that I did before this one. It is called A Song and a Story, or A Story and a Song, something like that. I don't know. Spirit had me put it on and I just did it. So it's uploading right now as we speak, and then I'm going to upload this. But yeah, I mean, Spirit made me really go down in there. And I was singing She Used to Be Mine by Sarah Bareilles. And there's some stories there, and there's 2 different versions of the song, and you'll see it. I tried to do what I thought when I started doing it. I thought I was recording it for a future Saturday sing-along. And boy, was I mistaken. But boy, I really got down deep in there, and you'll see I just like shed a bunch, and I don't even know what it sounds like. I don't even know if it was on key or whatever. I just like, and I just like let it out. I just let it go. So cleanse, cleanse, cleanse. Purge, purge, purge. Release, release, release. Let go, let go, let go. Cry, 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 cry. And if you are in a situation where you aren't around people where you feel like you can cry openly and freely, go to a place you can. Go to the woods, drop it off there. And if you're going to do it at your house, I highly suggest you do like a smudging, afterwards. Just to, and thank, with grace and gratitude, thank that energy for helping you work through that. The witch's hat, power. Yes. Let's drink some water. I'm going to drink my Shungai water. 2021 is going to be all about reclaiming our power, witches. We have been held back long enough. And when I say witches, I say healers, spirit workers, light warriors, star seeds, night workers, spirit warriors, whatever terminology feels good to you. I just love this deck. It's called Witch's Wisdom. And that's what it is, right? So, the witch's hat. It's all about our power, baby. And in the description, they talk about, I forget where she's from, but there was a witch that they found buried, I think somewhere in Asia. And she had a hat that was like 2 feet tall or something like that. Or 3 feet or something crazy like that. They found her. She was buried in that hat. And, the point is actually all about getting closer to God. They made it into this, but it's actually about getting you closer to getting you closer to God, goddess energy. right? To the divine. I've been seeing all of these things lately. I just recorded something yesterday too with this musical thing. I'm going to post that at some point too. With it was so beautiful because Spirit had me. I was video. Well, so much happened, but anyway. But so cut to me videotaping, and they're like, hit play, and this music was on. I'd pause it, so I hit play, and so the music's playing, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty, and it's Dancing with the Sun, and then it goes into Amy Winehouse, and then it goes into Marilyn, and the story about Marilyn, and I was just like, wow, and I was like, and I just saw this like feminine divine like coming in like really strongly, and then Spirit had me get up and go closer to the sun, and at first I was just like videotaping like this barn in the sun and whatever, but then they had me get closer, and as I got closer, wait till you see it, it's crazy. All of a sudden I'm like, oh my god. And then the barns and the way everything was going, it looked like two pyramids, and I've been getting these downloads about Egypt like crazy lately, and just like the point, so that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not just witches, it's like it's Egyptian, it's like we can go in like all these different cultures of things that, it's always about getting closer, to that, and it's about working with our crown chakra and getting, connected with our third eye, right? Like we're keeping this like under wraps so people can't attack our third eye. We cover, we keep it for ourselves, but the points, it's just really powerful, right? So regaining that power, which is regaining that power. Ooh, they said these two together, but these two first. Ooh, I am centered in truth and peace. Yes, do not let don't let the naysayers get at you. That's what that song was saying. Like, I'll be seeing you, but, I don't know when or whatever, but I can't, of course I'm going to look at that and remember you, but I'm not going to go through the whole memory, or like, it's like, a place where you broke up with somebody. It's like, you could be like, I can't go there, it's too traumatic. It's like, is it? Or do you go there and you make peace? Ooh, my third eye scratching. Or do you go there and you make peace with it or you make your peace with it, and then you go there until it doesn't trigger you anymore, until you're like, I love this restaurant, I love that. Oh, that was a good relationship. I'm glad it it worked its course. It worked its course. We get so hung up on things, we get so attached to things. So Spirit's saying, I am centered in truth and peace, and once we know what that truth and that peace is, we don't have anything else to concern ourselves with. On the back it says, the universe is one of great order and peacefulness, and I reflect this in every moment of my life. Yes, in every moment. Even the bad ones, even the hard ones. Again, we were watching The Watchmen. If you haven't seen that show, oh my gosh, I was like, I want to keep watching these. I was like, did they make any more of these? It was so good. I mean, just from all the actors, I was going to say actors, but Regina King, I'm just like, oh, I just love her. All hail Regina King. But all of it. I mean, Jeremy Irons, I can go on and on, but it's so good. But there's this, moment where like this child sees something that's, obviously traumatic. And so like watching them go through it, it's like, I'm just seeing all of these things that Spirit's trying to show us, that yes, they're traumatic, yes, they're awful, but we can't keep looking at something and, like earlier this year, my partner, had an accident, a lot of things happened, and long story short, I like wanted to get rid of the car because there was like blood, and like I was just like, no, and then he was like, yeah, but it also saved my life. He's like, it was still ran after all that happened, and I can get home. And he's like, and I, you got me to the hospital, and he's like, and I'm alive. And so I was like, okay, you're right. And so I cleaned up the car, and I, you know what I mean? And now I'm like, thank you for saving his life. Instead of being like, I don't ever want to look at that car again, or I don't ever want to, as I was cleaning up the blood and stuff, and just like, sorry, for my sensitives. But you know what I mean? It's like having those moments where you realize that we really are light beings having a human experience. And if we hold the trauma, then we hold it and process it through our DNA, and we pass it on through our ancestry and through our lineage. And that's what the ancestors were. Oh, thank you. I just totally got it now. It's like it all came full circle, and I'm like, I get it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get it. Right? But that's what it is. It's coming full circle. And like right now, I mean, I love my mother with every fiber of my being, but she's like the last person where I'm just being, even when I didn't talk to my family or whatever we were going through, I always like kept that thread with my mom. And then she would like, her and my dad used to do this for me, and they'd be like, they'd fill me in on, what was going on with the family. And then I got to the point with my mom where I was like, I don't really want to know, Mom. Like, I don't, not to be a dick, but like, I'm like, I'm trying to be who I am. And then I realized that once you took all that out of the equation, and my mom and I don't believe in the same thing, I'm like, we really have nothing to talk about. So I was just like, I need to just be completely away. And I've been pulling away over the last year, but we had something happen in November, and then my birthday on December 13th, my mom texted and called both of my lines, my business and my personal, 4 messages. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, I know I'm overdoing it, but I just want to make sure you get it, just in case your other phone's off. I just want to make sure you know. And I can't tell you how many times on my birthday where, my mom would be sing happy birthday to me, and she would, tell me, I know I was there, and, and the whole thing. And it reminds me of Cher and Mermaids, where, they all tell the little girl, like, how she was born on this day and it snowed and all this stuff. And I realized, I'm like, I don't want to hear that all the time. Like, I feel like I know it, and I think it's beautiful. And I know that it's going to sound dramatic, but it's like, sure, for like a deathbed conversation, maybe like, tell me one more time, Mom, But because I talk to my family on the other side, like my dad tells me things all the time, or he'll like show me something that happened when I was a kid, and then he'll show me from his point of view, or the adults, or like, so I can see it to understand it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and once you start to like really like get that intuition and get that connection and feel everybody, you don't feel that loss anymore. You don't feel that nostalgia to hold on to it. And I hope that helps you, because that was what I realized, and I think deep down my mom knew it. That's why she was, I use this analogy a lot when people are on the spiritual life raft, where they're drowning, and like the ship's going down, and they're trying to hold on to that one last raft, they're trying to hold on, like the Titanic moment, they're trying to hold on for, so they're grasping. But when people are panicking and they're drowning, or when they're dying, they start to panic, right? Instead of just like letting their body be calm and like think about it and then do it. It's like, it's a natural response for a lot of people to go to panic mode. And I didn't even listen to my mom's messages. I saw her texts, but I didn't listen to her other messages, because I was just like, I don't want to right now, but I love that they're there, and if I want to listen to them, I can. And I was happy with the text messages. You know what I mean? And even so, I was just like, that's what I realized. And like, it wasn't that I was being triggered in like a way that I'm like, oh, I feel bad, or I should do this, or, blah, blah, blah. Or I feel sad for her. It was like, I finally like got to that moment where I'm like, I don't need it anymore. I'm not triggered. I just don't need that. But my mom's terrified that she'll never hear from me again. And that scares her. And so I honor and respect that. And I haven't decided exactly how that relationship will go. As of right now, I'm like, I'm happy with where it is. It's not triggering me, and I'm not in a negligent space with it, So if you can, take the nostalgia out of things. And if you do, then look at it as like, oh, that's a cool memory. And maybe for a while you may even need to look at it like an outsider. Oh, I heard 5304. So 5304. So angel number 5304. If somebody wants to put it below. Samhain, death. Yes. Samhain is all about death and rebirth, right? And like I was saying earlier, Samhain is technically the new year for a lot of pagans and witches that follow the earth's calendar, so to speak. And so, it's death. We all have to go through a cycle. We all go through cycles, I should say. And death is part of the cycle. So in order for us to move forward, we have to release the past and be grateful for it and thank it. Even the hard stuff, we thank it, right? But we move forward. We move on. You are alive, so take your life and enjoy it. You were born with the right to be happy, to love, and to share your love. Just to be, to take a risk and enjoy your life is all that matters. And this is from the 4 agreements. And this is one of the agreements that says, always do your best, take your life, and enjoy it. Just do your best. Just do your best. That's all you can do. I remember seeing something once, and she goes, did you do your best? And they're like, yes, I did do my best. She goes, then that's all you can do. And it's true. That's all you can do. Just do your best. Do your best. Be your best. Be the best version of yourself. Play around. Change your hair color. Cut your hair off. Change your wardrobe. Whatever. Move. You know, do something really big. Something exciting. Well, I just got the chills. Do something that you wouldn't normally do. Oh, they're saying, okay. Yes. They're saying with affirmations, I claim my inner power. Sorry, this fell on the flame. Ed and I got really excited. We were dancing and it fell on the flame and I'm like, oh shit, it burned. With affirmations, I claim my inner power. But you know what is actually really cool? When we were looking at this afterwards, I go, I'm not mad about it. And he's like, are you sure? Because he felt bad it was him that did it. And I said, yeah. I go, because with affirmations, I'm like, I go, I am my inner power. If you look at it like that, I am my inner power. Right? And on the back it says, no matter what I choose to believe or say, the universe always says yes to me. Therefore, I choose only positive thoughts and words. With affirmations, I claim my inner power. With affirmations, I am my inner power. It's the way I decide to live my life, right? Because I choose. You choose. If we think positive things come our way, right? And YULE, rebirth. I mean, when these came out, and they in the musical reading, they didn't come out the same, so I thought it was really interesting though, right? But it's all about death and rebirth. Because where there is death, there is life. Where there is death, there is life. And we are in YULE right now. When you see this is timeless, of course, but it is December 29th, 2020. And Spirit wanted me to bring this up. I did a screenshot of somebody did it's 1515. Okay, 1515. We have to look up angel 1515. Okay, Spirit told me to look that up now so I don't forget. 1515 angel number. Oops. Okay. So in this, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to put it below. So you have to look in the description to find it. Let me find it for you. Hold on. Okay, so I found this cute thing called The 12 Days of Yuletide by @occultish. And today is the day of contemplation and truth, and also about ritual completion and discipline. So I highly recommend, I'll let you even look at the little picture there. It's on the bottom. It says 9 and 10, but they're both December 29th. Actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. You might not. Anyway, so a day of contemplation and truth, discipline, ritual, and completion, which is death and rebirth, right? Completion. That's really powerful. So don't concern yourself with what's gone. Concern yourself. Well, you don't have to concern yourself at all, but focus on the rebirth part, right? Because now we get a second chance. We get a second chance, third chance, fourth chance, fifth chance. We've been through many chances, many incarnations, many of us. But we get another chance, another try to, like, you know, what did you come here to do? What is your calling? Like, what is in your greatest and highest good? Why are you here? Watchtower of the West. Oh, I wanted to show you guys this. This is another one that I was like, what? 2 different decks. I mean, an autumn, which is really powerful because look at this, Samhain. So for some of you, I'm getting a really serious download that you're moving to the West. So maybe you're moving to California, Oregon, Washington, somewhere in Alaska, Canada. But I feel like when or it could just be, they said direction, like from where you live. Like maybe you're moving west. Because I know we talked about that earlier, but it's really powerful. And by autumn, by the next Samhain, you'll have gone through that death. So maybe for some of you, you're just starting the rebirth process. You know, maybe you've shed your skin already, but like now they're saying like, yes, but now you're going to have to go through another year of something. And I don't know exactly. It doesn't mean it's bad, by the way. I just heard somebody was like, no. And they're like, no. They're like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. The Watchtower of the West. Let me see if anything else comes through. Ooh, my eyes drew to this. So I feel like it's a new home for some of you guys because I don't know why, but I saw this as a keyhole. I saw like an old skeleton key and unlocking a new home. So I feel like some of you are getting a new house. Ooh, haha, yay, yay, yay. Definitely saw that right away. But also look at that. What was I just talking about? Like the points and being closer. So crown chakra. Also, Gabriel is water. And he is the west, and this reading is water, which is really interesting. I didn't even put that together till now. And the water bearer of the Aquarius. Wow, it's really powerful. You see how it's like it's all coming together? I love when I pull things like so far out. And also, I feel like they're trying to show us that, like, look to the west, because that's where you're going to see the Starseed family looking out for us. Whenever you're feeling lonely or scared, they're saying look to the west, because they're right there watching over you. They're everywhere, but they're like specifically like they're above the west. If that makes sense. Okay. I'm getting tired. I haven't eaten anything today and it's getting on in the afternoon now. So I'm like, what else do we have? As I learn to love myself, I become more powerful. Oh, I become powerful. I just threw in more. I do not need to wait until I become perfect before I love myself. Loving myself is the quickest way to create a wonderful life. Ooh, I love it how it's like it gave it its own screenshot. Right? As I learn to love myself, I become more powerful. Yeah, this is the when I lose weight, I'll love myself, or when I, do this, I'll love myself. It's like, no, love yourself in the here and the now. They're like, what are you waiting for? You are your greatest ally and your greatest enemy. And Spirit is saying, which wolf are you feeding, right? The Divine Feminine is trying to come in right now to soothe and, to lick the wounds and be compassionate and hold space for everybody. So they're saying, so allow her, allow the Divine Feminine to come in. It doesn't matter if you're what you identify with. They're just saying the energy of the Divine Feminine, allow her in, allow her to support you, allow her to like lift you up and elevate you to the place that you need to be. Hand fasting and union. Okay, some of you are getting married. So, the next turn around the sun, from now until the next turn around the sun, some of you are getting married or you're getting engaged. And for some of you, it's just about the commitment. You don't have to actually do a full-on, like Edward and I did that. Like we did a hand fasting and no one was even there. Now we want to do it officially at some point, but like, we just like kind of went and professed our love for each other. So maybe you even want to do something like that. Maybe you're far away from the person that you want to be with. So you do something, special for each other. But I love this. It's also like, I like that it's in the background that you've got people supporting you. Maybe you're in a relationship that people don't believe in, or, maybe somebody, I have a friend who was straight, like was married and had a kid and then like met somebody that was the same gender, same sex, so whatever you want to say, and they fell madly in love with each other, and she left her husband for them. And she even said, she's like, I never thought of myself as a lesbian or gay. She's like, I just fell in love with her, and that was that. So, they're saying like, and maybe it's your divine feminine, divine masculine. It could be the same, sex, same gender. It doesn't matter. Or maybe you're somebody who you're just fluid. I have a friend who has a penis and breasts, and they feel good in both. They're both. They're like, they feel like it's all encompassing. They're everything. So, you're gonna find somebody who loves you for you no matter what. So whatever you are or whatever you feel, they're saying, this, you get this too. For some of you, I feel like, and this really feels strong for the LGBTQ community. LGBT, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer. Okay, I just want to make sure, because I'm really tired and I haven't eaten. And these full moons, they drain me. You could see my eyes. Like I barely slept last night. So, but you feel me, right? But I feel like this is really like a shout out, a love letter to you guys, saying that, maybe you're in the closet right now, or maybe you've been feeling this, or maybe you're in love with somebody, but your family or your friends wouldn't approve. Then, you know what? There's a whole other community and a whole other world that will love you and accept you exactly as you are. And you will find that love. You will get married. You will have a hand fasting. It will happen. It's not just for the, I just heard, it's not just for the pretty people, that from that song, right? It's for everybody. That's what Prince just said. Oh, I love this card because when it came out, I was like, oh, I love it. I go, it looks like literally the vision I saw when I was pulling this to the music was a fish come like that got away when the person was trying to take it off the hook, and they were like, oh, and the fish like got away and dove back in the water and was like, I'm safe, I'm safe. And so I felt like this was a card from Spirit saying that we are free, we are free, we are free. It's also the Four of Hearts. Fours are all about stability, right? And hearts are like cups, so it's like your cup runneth over. You've got enough. You are enough. It's also the number 17, which is the number 8, and 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 is all about infinity. And so for some of you, you know, you're like, I'm free, but some of you, I feel like you're still in the water. You're like this little fish that's looking up, and you're like, I want to, oh my gosh, it reminds me of this children's book that I'm working on. You know, they're like, I want to do this, but you're just not feeling brave enough, and Spirit's saying, you got it, you got it. And this says the fish is the emblem of riches through stocks, but if distant, it foretells failures and disaster. So that's a little aggressive, right? I love these cards. This is from the Gypsy Witch fortune telling cards. These are really old cards, so the languaging on it can be really, whew. So I try to like interpret it the way I see it. So what I get from that is that that yes, once you recognize that you are free, all the riches will come to you naturally because you're free. You're free of the shackles of the 3D energy, right? I'll be seeing you, man. I'm out. And you're like, I made it. You broke free. You got out of that trap. You got off that hook. You're like, I'm not going to buy into that bullshit anymore. But for some of you who are still in there, when they're talking about it foretells failure and disaster, it's not like the whole world's going to, you know, fall apart. What they're saying is that you're just going to keep running into failure and disaster, and you're not going to be going in the direction that you need to be going because you're taking too much time and energy trying to straddle both worlds. The key is to learn how to live in your 5D energy naturally in any situation you are, because the 3D is an energy. So when you're around the 3D energy, it's about holding your 5D energy, holding your strength and your power and who you are, and standing strong, firmly, feet firmly planted on the ground, like I said, in that Capricorn energy, right? So we've got the air and the, you know, moving us, you know, quickly through with the age of Aquarius, but we also have the water bearers, right, who are here to bring sustenance, to let us know that we are fine, that everything's okay, it's going to be harmonious, everything's wonderful. But in the meantime, we have to work through this kind of heavy Cancer full moon energy, you know, as we're like pushing out the last dregs of 2020. Okay. Oh, look at that. And then we're on to number 5, which is the 5 of clubs, which is also 5 of wands. And transformation and working through the transformation, right? Like moving through it. Number 33 also, which is the number 6, and I love it. It's like 5, 6, like we're moving along, but 5 and 6 is also 11. So this says the clover leaf is a bearer of good tidings, but if near clouds, it denotes great chagrin. If, however, number 2 does not lie near 29 or 28, the chagrin will be of short duration and happiness will follow. Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because 28 and 29 were really challenging years for me. So I don't know if those numbers mean anything to you guys. So sorry, I had to have like my own little moment there. I was getting my own little picture, but so, you know, 3s also, some people look at it as the Holy Trinity, you know, or everything happening in 3s. So look at the 3-leaf clover. You know, I know we look at 4-leaf clover as the lucky one, but they're saying that the riches and all that, like, it's already here. It's already here for us. That's what 2021 is going to show us. The word that I also got for 2021 was discipline. And I looked up the actual definition of it, and I thought it was interesting. But what I got from Spirit was that, you know, it's about us having our own self-discipline where we know we need to work on. It's going to be different for everybody. It's not like, you know, maybe, you know, Mary needs to meditate more, but, you know, Joe needs to like go, you know, be in nature more. You know, it's just going to be different for all of us because it always is. So I feel like the discipline is just, Spirit is just asking. 2020 was like, they were like, that's cool. You do what you need to do. Drink that, eat that, smoke that, do what you got to do. I got them. Smoking, you got them. I get it. We get it. We get it. We get it. But 2021 is kind of like us, and this winter is going to be us going more inward and pulling ourselves out of that, so that the luck, because the luck is already there. For some of us, it's already there. It's already abundance. Things, it's interesting. I haven't been working as much as I'd want to, or making money like I would want to, but Edward has been doing really well, and I have been doing more like inner work and spirit work and doing things like this, and everything's like balancing out. And we said that the other day. He didn't work for how many months, and I held space for him, and all of the tribe helped contribute and take care of him and supported us and all that. And so I was like, you can't keep squeezing blood from a turnip too. We all have to kind of take our turn in the giving and the receiving. So it's really interesting how that works out. But they keep talking about the chagrin, which I think is really interesting, because the chagrin is like a kind of like a half smile. And I feel like that is, for some of you guys, they're saying if it's near clouds, it denotes great chagrin, meaning like more shit, you're just kind of like, more shit I gotta deal with, more shit I gotta deal with. But then they're saying it's okay though, because the happiness will follow. The happiness will follow. I feel like that one is kind of like, take from it what you need, leave behind what you don't. That was a very broad 11048. Oh, so 1148, angel number 1148. Okay, my inner world is peaceful. Another one about peace again. It is safe for me to look within. Each time I look deeper into myself, I will find incredibly beautiful treasures. Yeah. I've been having these interesting, because I'm like, what color do I want? How do I want to do my hair? And I've been having these really interesting moments where I'm like, you know what? I'm really peaceful with, I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to, just the things that I used to do. I'm looking deeper into the behavioral patterns and things that I used to do and say. Drink some water. This one wants to come out. So do the same, Ancient forest. Yes. I cannot recommend enough for you guys to go either somewhere near your house, but if you can financially and you feel safe to travel, I highly recommend you go to the Amazon, or you go to the Pacific Northwest, or you go to Scotland or somewhere, and you go to an ancient forest. An ancient forest. Go visit the Mayan ruins, if you feel safe to do so, I highly recommend you do that, because I'm telling you what, every single time I go into the woods out here in the Northwest, that's why I said I was a little, not jelly, but there's a part of me that's like, why don't I get to go? But then Spirit was like, yeah, but you can go Friday, because Friday's New Year's Day. And where we live in Washington, they have some of the most beautiful state parks in the world, but you have to pay a membership, and every year we say we're going to get the pass, and we never do, or we haven't. But this year I don't know what they're going to do, so we've been kind of waiting to see what happens. But they give free days. They give so many free days a year. And so if you live in the Pacific Northwest, if you live in Washington and you're watching this, look at the website and see what the free days are. But it's always January 1st. And last year, or no, I think it was 2 years ago, we went to Lake Quinault and went to a few different ones around there. But this year, I don't know where we're going, but I have a feeling we're going somewhere really special. So, so I'm like, so I go on Friday instead. And today, Ed is like a mountain man. He loves to do ritual. He's a fire person. He loves to he cleanses in fire. He likes to get naked and chant, and he's old school shaman like that. I mean, watching him is really wild sometimes, but cool. And and I said to him today, I'm like, go build yourself a fire. I'm like, go get lost in the woods. Go be a mountain man. Go be the Sasquatch. He feels like the Sasquatch are part of his family and his lineage. So I'm like, go be with your kin. I'm like, go, be with the Native Americans, and his whole tribe his family's tribe is up there. I was like, I'm like, go there. I'm like, you've had a rough year, man. I'm like, go and let all that shit out. So I get to be here with you guys, so I'll go on Friday. But, you know, it's like, it's the give and take really does make a huge difference in our relationships, and recognizing that the other person needs that support, or they need that thing, you know. The solitude right now is going to be really important for us, especially those who live in colder climates this time of year. You know, coming off of this massive year and all these transitions astrologically, spiritually, everything. You know, definitely please take the time to yourself. That's all I can say. It says, I relax and enjoy life. I know that whatever I need to know is revealed to me in the perfect time and space sequence. Everything I need comes to me in the perfect time. Do not rush it. Do not rush it. I understand. Oh, do I understand? I do understand. But if we rush it, we're not going to get what we really are. What it's like, you know, I saw something recently, and I posted it today on the Soul Matrix Social under lulakelly. And, oh, did I delete it? I have to read it to you guys. It's so good. I think I deleted it on my thing, but I can look it up through, hold on. Okay, so it says today's message. Now, this is something that I had actually taken a screenshot of a while back, but it was so meant to come today. Listen to this. When you order something online, you don't worry about how it's going to get to you, who's going to drive the delivery truck, how your package is going to get on a plane and hope that it'll arrive. You click order, you sit back, and you expect that it will make its way to you because you've done your part in the mechanism of its request. Zero resistance. You trust the process, so you don't ask why and how. So stop questioning the ultimate result of your goals. It's happening one way or another. If you trust, then you may as well trust fully. So if you manifest something and you put it out into the world, then you need to know that it's going to come back to you in the way that your higher self believes is in your greatest and highest good. And it may not look the way you want it to. It may not sound, smell, taste the way you want it to, but it'll be what is in your greatest and highest good. Without my past, mistakes and all, I would not be here today. I love myself for my willingness to learn and grow. Yes. Yeah, don't like cut yourself up for, even if you did something earlier today, you may do something tomorrow. Stop cutting yourself up. I have been forgiving myself so much. I have forgave myself for everything I've ever done or said to anyone. And I've asked for their forgiveness in my mind's eye. You know, it's like, whether they forgive us or not, that's none of our business. It says, my past is part of the richness and fullness of life. You wouldn't be who you are right now without your past. Right? But we learn and we grow from that and we move forward. That's how the triggers leave. Because we learn and we grow from it and we realize the lesson that was in it. Because everything here is a lesson. Earth is a training ground. It's just a big ass school. It's just a big ass school. The King of Clubs, which is also like the King of Wands, right? Like, you've done it. You've done your part. You have put in the work. You have, you know, so Spirit's like, now take a minute, rest. Where's that card? Take your life and enjoy it. You're like, I'm the king, man. And it's also number 50, which is also about transformations, right? We've been talking about that. The bear. Oh, this is when it came to me. This is when Spirit showed me when we were doing this. I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, the bear. So, and it's also, see, that's how Spirit showed it to me. That's how I knew it was the divine masculine. See, it's the king. It's the King of Clubs. Otherwise it'd be the queen. So the king is the representation of the masculine energy. And this is the bear. And when I saw this, I saw the bear retreating, right? Because we're all going into the hibernation period. And I saw the divine masculine going to hibernate, right? But we're going to hold space for them. You know, it's like everybody it's like the war's over. You know, people are still trying, people are still fighting, people are still going to kill and blow up bombs and do crazy shit. And people are going to, you know, pledge their allegiance to whatever deity or whatever belief system. You know, I'm not, degrading it. I'm just saying, like, this is what is going to happen, right? But it doesn't matter. This is, all of this is going to go whether they want to stay or not. You know, it's like when you go to a bar and you're in, it's dark in there and you're drunk and you're in your, if you've ever been to a bar and you drank, right? And you're in your bubble and you're having a good time. I'm speaking of myself, my experiences. But you're having a good time. Everything's great. You're dancing. You're like, yeah, you're like, I could live forever. Everything's great. And all of a sudden the song is over, and then all of a sudden the DJ is like, thank you everybody. He's like, the lights flip on, you're like, and the reality comes in, and all of a sudden it's not this dark, kind of like energy where it's like, you got people, and it's like, hey, everybody looks really good. Everybody's like, hey, how are you? Then all of a sudden they're like, this is what it really looks like. And he's like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Right? It's like we get into that energy. And that's what I feel like it is right now. It's like this. We say very lovingly and politely, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So we are going to work with the bear medicine, though, in 2021 as we hold space for the divine masculine, as that patriarchal energy goes, because we need both. We need to have both. It's just that it's been like the divine masculine and the divine feminine for so long, and it's like, we've been coming up, and now, of course, some people are like, yeah, fuck the male, and I'm like, no. The whole point is that we're trying to bring them back down to grace. That's all. We're not trying to shove them down. We're not trying to, But we're going to have that with the women for a little while, and it's going to be a little teeter-totter, and things are going to be like this for a little while, but it'll eventually balance itself out. So we're going to work with that divine masculine energy and the bear energy, because the bear is all about strength, right? And endurance. I mean, they don't eat for how many months? They eat and eat and eat, and that's all they do is eat. And then when they're done, or when it comes to winter, they go and hibernate for the winter, and they just live off of what their reserves. So, okay, I'm getting tired. All right, I have a perpetual attitude of gratitude. I am content to be who and what I am. I look for the things to be thankful for. What did I say? That's my going into 2020, or excuse me, wrapping up 2020, going into 2021. For myself, I've been getting this download from Spirit of saying, with grace and gratitude, with grace and gratitude, with grace and gratitude. So with grace and gratitude, right? Grace is having, well, they want me to read it. Okay, hold on. So, I just saw 12. So 1214. Oh, angel number 1214. 1214. Okay. Angel number 1214 if you want to look it up. So the definition of grace is actually simple elegance or refinement of movement. And the second one is courteous goodwill. And so it's with this refined movement. We're going to move a little slower. Even though everything's going to be going really fast, that doesn't mean that we have to feed into that energy, right? Because sometimes that energy is like, oh, and it can be fast and it can be manic, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to go with that energy, right? We can still be in a slow movement, a refined movement, as we're showing courteous goodwill to the planet and to our fellow beings, our light beings. We're all human here, right? So we do that with grace and gratitude. That's what grace is. And obviously gratitude is about being thankful for everything. Even the stuff that seems like the shitty stuff. It's all good stuff. It's all the good stuff. I am worthy of my own love. I don't have to earn love any more than I have to earn the right to breathe. That's right. Because you are lovable. No matter who you are, no matter what you did, no matter what you think, no matter what you crave, it doesn't matter. I am precious and I cherish who I am. I highly recommend you, write down affirmations, mantras, whatever feels good to you. But I love this one. I am precious and I am precious and I cherish who I am. I am precious and I cherish who I am. I am precious and I cherish who I am. I am precious. I am precious and I cherish who I am. I am precious and I cherish who I am. Okay, Spirit, what do we have? I accept that I cannot learn other people's lessons for them. Oh, that's a powerful one. They must do the work themselves, and they will do it when they are ready. Yes, you can't force them. One of my favorite stories for this is my brother around his first birthday, still hadn't walked yet. And my mom took him to the doctor for his first year checkup, you know. This is 1972, I guess, or 1971. And she's like, I don't understand what's happening. She's like, we've done everything. We've been trying to get him to walk, but, you know, his sister, she walked, you know, blah, blah. My mom's like telling him everything that my sister did. And she's like, but him, she's like, I don't know, I don't understand. And he goes, you know what the worst thing is? And she's like, no, what? And he's like, a mother for the second time. And she's like, what do you mean? And he goes, he'll walk when he's ready to walk. You know what I mean? He's like, you cannot force him. When he's ready, he will walk. He's like, but you can't force him to be what you want him to be. We cannot force anything. We can only hold space and support for those people who want it. We also can't expect them to, just because we're doing it, or we're doing it around the house, or I can't tell you how many times I'd tried to get Ed to watch something with me, or we'd be together and this profound thing would happen, and I'd be like, wasn't that amazing? And he'd be like, yeah, that was cool. And I'm like, what do you mean that was cool? I'm like, it was like life-changing. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh, blah. I'm like, from the rooftops. I'm like, how can you, what? You know, and he's just like, I just, you know, don't perceive it the same way you do. But now that he's like so much more awake and whatever, it's like, I'll have this moment where I'm like in tears, and I look over and he's in tears, and I'm like, oh, he gets it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, that's like 5.5 years of like backward and forward and holding space for each other and breaking up and getting back together, and us saying, no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. I love you and I will love you unconditionally, but not at my own expense, right? So we start to realize and recognize like why we're here, and it's individual. We are all on our own path. So we can't force each other to like move at the same pace that we are. It's just not going to happen. I appreciate others for who they are. This was in that and on the altar. I appreciate others for who they are. If you're trying to change somebody, the only thing you need to change in that relationship is you getting out of it. And that's family, friends, lover, work, whatever. The only thing you can change is yourself, right? My mama used to say, you know, who's the common denominator? I kept dating the same kind of guy. I was getting the same experience. And she'd say, who's the common denominator? She's like, you are. You are the one that keeps dating these people. So what is it about them that you keep seeking out? You need to ask yourself that so that you don't keep going for that same type of guy or that same type of person, right? I look for the things to be thankful for. Yes, look at all the little things, right? Like, I may be freezing, but Goddess bless our sister Cameo. Thank you, Cameo. This little heater has like saved our lives, and now we haven't had enough money to buy another heater, but now they're talking about getting another stimulus, and I was like, oh, thank God, it's like we can buy a proper heater for here, we can get it to humidifier, you know, and all these things that we've needed. But it's like, in the meantime, I am in gratitude for this person, right? So it says, I have a perpetual attitude of gratitude. I am content to be who and what I am. So we can be thankful for others and their support, and then we are also in gratitude for who we are. And in that moment, right? Remember the other card said to love yourself where you are, not where you're going to be, not who you used to be. This is who you are now. So have gratitude for it and love yourself fully, fully, fully in the now. Fully, fully, fully in the now. Okay. Healing means to make whole and to accept all parts of myself, not just the parts I like, but all of me. Yes, we were just saying that, right? I love how this one almost looks highlighted. The other one's, it's like, this one's like, so take a screenshot of that. I feel like Spirit's like, and also look at the full moon, right? Release, I'm like trying to point to the moon. In this full moon energy, right? Release all of that awful head talk and that chatter that's telling you you're not good enough or not smart enough, not pretty enough, you know. One of my favorite things from Saturday Night Live is an old skit where he would look in the mirror and he'd go, because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Right? I don't care if you have to keep doing these affirmations in the mirror. Do it until you really hear it, till it really sinks in. I love myself, totally in the now. And as this next year comes through, we have to keep reminding ourselves to love ourselves exactly who we are and say, this is who I am today. I can't tell you who I'm going to be tomorrow. And not making plans with people. This is a big one that's coming through right now too. I think that was a big one with empaths, because we always felt like we had to come up with an excuse, or we literally make ourselves sick because we just, the thought of like being at a family gathering with like 30 people or kids screaming or whatever is like nails on a chalkboard, right? Like to us energetically, we're just like, no. You know, that's really huge. So it says wellness is the natural state of my body. And how we stay in this wellness state is by taking good care of ourselves on the inside and the outside. I am the heaviest I've been since I don't want to say sick, but since I went through my pancreatitis and all that. This is the heaviest I've ever been since then. And it's like, I think a few pounds, you know, but I normally would beat myself up, and I just haven't been. Because I just know that like my body's where it is, and I've just been trying to stretch more or do certain things, and when I'm ready, like I'll go back to that. But right now I've been like, I'm letting my body go through this cycle. But I know that I'm going to have to pull the discipline in, right? I'm going to have to pull the discipline in at some point, because I need to be in a more natural state. On this it says, my body communicates with me, and I am willing to listen to and understand its messages. So communicate with your body. If something makes you sick when you eat it, or when you smell it, or if your skin breaks out, that's your body talking to you. It took me a lot of times throwing up on meat for me to finally be like, oh, I just can't eat meat. It took a lot of times for me to stop eating like gluten and dairy and certain things, for me to just be like, my body just doesn't want it. Once I fully cleansed my body of it, now I can have stuff. Now I can eat almost anything. I had a really weird experience, a cool experience, but kind of a weird experience recently. It didn't dawn on me until the next day. And I'm not saying that it's something I want to make a practice of, but usually in the past, or I should say in the past, I won't say usually, in the past, I would eat certain foods, and the next day I might feel kind of rough, you know, just because my body just doesn't, you know, it's organic, but it's still sugar, right? It's coconut sugar, but it's still sugar. And Edward and I had this like super fun time, and like whatever, and like we ate all these fun things, and then like the next day I was like, I feel great. He's like, I feel good too. And we were just like in this really like great place. And then all of a sudden I looked at him and I go, I just thought of something. And he goes, what? I go, we are different. I said, because if I had eaten that, I go, I would feel like shit today. Like I would really feel bad, like feel awful. And I was fully prepared to like be like, well, I did it to myself. But it didn't dawn on me until later that I was like, I think energetically my body is just like filtering things through differently. And I'm not saying that you should do that, but I'm just saying like, I realized if I kept pushing it, I'm sure I would, right? But just because we did it that one day, I didn't keep doing it, and I felt okay, right? So keeping things to a minimum, it's not like cutting it out completely, but like giving yourself like, you know, you eat enough fruits and vegetables, organic, natural foods, local foods, like all that. But then you give yourself like an organic brownie made with coconut sugar. It's like all the ingredients are really good. It's just, I don't want to be eating brownies all day, every day, right? You know, so just taking good care of ourselves and getting that balance back and getting into a natural state of wellness. It's really about the mental, right? Because my mind is, I feel calm here and calm here. And now that I've been feeling the calmness between the two, I think my body is just starting to be like, okay. And also, I didn't eat as much as I would normally either. I was like, oh, that was good. And I like put it away. Or I was like, here, you can eat the rest of it. I was like, there was a few times he was like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm good. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I think I'm good. You know, you don't want to be overconfident and cocky, but I was like, I'm feeling like I'm getting it now, like that I'm not addicted to food, right? Like that it was something that was a programming, and that I can have this and I can have that. But you know, anyway, that's just my own thing. So the moment I am willing to change, it is amazing how the universe brings me what I need. Yes, but we do have to change. Like we do have to change. We can't just stay in the same place. It's like the definition of insanity, you know. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I trust myself in the process of life. Please trust spirit, trust your higher self, trust that you are exactly where you're meant to be. You know, I didn't want to do like a big like 2020 or, oh, I'm doing it again, a 2021 prediction. I mean, some things have been coming through, but like not really. I feel like it's more like spirit's kind of giving us this like last, like, hey, you know, we got your back, and you get through this any way you need to. You know, don't let these people, because even like the spiritual, I knew this was going to happen. I saw it and I felt it, that the spiritual community are going to start shaming too. And it's like, stop the fucking shaming. Love is love and it's unconditional. And each of us are going to go through this differently. Please do not shame yourself or others as you're going through this process, okay? I may, you know, take a stern, you know, tone of voice with you guys sometimes to get you to kind of like whatever, but it's there's a difference of supporting through like, hey, we really got to do this right now, and being like, oh, well, you must be in the 3D then, so I'm over here. It's like, no, that's bullshit. That's bullshit right there. I trust and know that all is well in my world. Divine right action is guiding me every moment of the day. My throat chakra, work with your throat chakra. For some of you who are having a hard time right there, oh my gosh, drink some water. That was weird. I felt like somebody came and put a feather on my voice box. That was wild. Divine right action is guiding me every moment of the day. I know that whatever the outcome is, it is perfect for me and everyone concerned. Yes, for my controlling busybodies, my throat chakra, use your voice. Trust and know that all is going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I rejoice in my creative energy. I love it. Fun, uplifting ideas flow through my consciousness, and I follow through on the ideas received, bringing them into full manifestation. So for some of you, you've already put it out there. That was that message was before. That was like, trust the package, right? Like, trust that you've manifested it, and that everything that you've put out into the world, now that you've gone through all this heaviness, now that you've gone through all this darkness, now your community is going to show up. Everything is going to, it's there. It's right there. It's in front of you, right? Instead of looking at the world as a globe and going like this, I want you to look at it like this. And it's just a flat surface. And we can go from here to 1929. We can go from here to 1632. We don't, it's all linear. It sounds crazy, but it's not. Hold on one second. Okay. Last night when I was putting the house to bed, this card flipped out, and I was like, where did that come from? Like, I don't even know where it came from. It was like in this blanket, like underneath the couch, and I was like, but I didn't even pull cards for, the last time I pulled cards was for this, how many days ago, and we've used that blanket, so I was like, I don't even know how it got in there, but it was in there. So I don't know why I questioned it either, because it's magic. I'm magic, you're magic, woo woo woo. I'm like, I did have some glitter on here before. So it is number 7, and 7 is a cycle, right? On the 7th day, he rested. Number 38, which is also the number 11, okay? But this is, the diamonds are like, if you looked at them, like pentacles. It's like money. So it's a 7 of pentacles. And it's number 38. So if 7 resonates with you or 38 resonates with you, you might want to look up those angel numbers. And this says, flames on the hearth indicate good fortune and neutralizes the evil of near lying unlucky cards and increases the value of lucky ones. So our culmination card. Oh, I just got the chills. Look at that. Oh, and I'm a Sag, so I'm bringing you some fire, baby. I'm bringing you some fire. But I think it's interesting that, where is that other one? I'm like, as I'm sifting through, here we go. Nope, that's not it. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. I was going to show you the lucky card. Where are you at? Here we go. Right? So it says if it's near luck. So this is what we have coming for us in 2021. And fire's unpredictable. Fire's unpredictable. We don't know which way fire is going to go. That's why fires can be an intimidating experience. I'm not going to say the fear-based words. Fire can be an intimidating experience because air, which we're in the age of Aquarius, air, right? So air can move fire any which way we want it to go. So Spirit is saying, in order for us to find our wealth and riches, and which is not just always about money, sometimes it's just about finding like the abundance in ourselves of, you know, creativity, right? But we're going to be like the fire. Basically everything that was here is Spirit saying like it's just going to be amped up, amped up, amped up. So go with the flow of this energy in 2021. I really like that a lot. The flames on the hearth indicate good fortune and neutralizes the evil of near-lying unlucky cards and increases the value of lucky ones. And it kind of makes sense too. It's almost like a metaphor for, yeah, like if you stay in that energy, right? If you stay there and then of course it's like, it's going to feel like that. But if you are like Billie Holiday singing, I'll be seeing you, I'll see you down the road, I love you, but I'm going to see you down the road, they're like, then good fortune awaits. Only you hold the key. Only we each hold the key. So thank you so much for stopping by, you guys. Thank you just for being alive and being awesome. You know I love you so much. And if you'd like to book any time with me, or if you'd like to donate to this channel, all the information is below. And I'll see you next time. Blessed be. Aho. With grace and gratitude, I bid you adieu.